Hello, hello, hello. This is Gresh from the I Am CEO podcast, and I have a very special guest on the show today at Fabienne Raphaël, FabienneRaphael.com. Fabienne, it's awesome to have you on the show.
Yay, me too. I'm happy to be here.
No problem. Super excited to have you on as a contributor before and having you back in the inner circle, so to speak, so we can hear about all the awesome things that you're doing. And some of those awesome things I wanted to read about Fabienne. So Fabienne is a business coach, speaker, podcaster, and former elite athlete. She helps high achievers become highly paid experts by building their dream coaching, consulting businesses so they can spice up their life living their purpose. She's a top-ranked podcaster, international speaker who already has shared the stage with John Lee Dumas, who's been on the podcast and spoke at the last New Media Europe conference in London. She's been featured in Forbes, ABC, Fox, CBS, and Inc., and has appeared on over 30 podcasts, such as Entrepreneur on Fire. Fabienne was also an athlete's mentor with Team Canada at the last Pan America Games. Fabienne, are you ready to speak to the IMCO community?
I guess this is where I have to say, yes, I'm ready.
Yes, absolutely, because you can't go away.
It's too late now.
Exactly. The record button's already hit. So, to kick everything off, I know I read about all the awesome things you're doing. I wanted to hear a little bit more on what I call your CEO story. We'll let you get started with all the awesome things that you've been working on.
Oh God. Well, my path was no straight line. Actually, as a kid, I never imagined I would be an entrepreneur owning my business. Actually, each time people were talking to me about that, I found it was kind of weird. And, because I was brought up by parents who worked at the same place for a long time. And they were like, get your diploma, get a nice job, stay there forever, and then retire. Obviously, this is not what happened. I figured along the way that I was a little bit different, because when I graduated as a physical therapist, let's say every second, third year, something needed to happen in my life to spice it up. Like as if I couldn't have like the same type of routine for a long, long time. So after I started working, after I graduated, 2.5 years after I left my job, I left home and I went to Denmark to go play team handball in a team in Copenhagen, because it was one of my dreams to play in Europe. And I just left everything and went there for 2 years. And when I came back, this is the first time I realized, oh my God, self-growth can happen. Because when I came back, I had the impression that I had gone forward, but the whole world was like behind or something. I was like, I felt really off. And then let's say a few years later gone by like this, and I met my business and life partner, Reggie, and he was already into personal development, working for himself. And then we had different conversations about this. He introduced me to going to conferences and learning and reading. And then one day he's like, what about like you just switch from employee to consultant? Just do that switch and see how it goes. I was like, oh, okay, let's try that out. So I resigned as an employee physical therapist, and then I was hired by the same place as a consultant. And this is where, I was like, oh my God, like I'm working for myself. So this is how it got started. And we had a healthcare agency. I had a home staging business that led me to have my own TV show. And then I went to this huge marketing conference and I heard about online business and all that. I was like, oh my God, like this is it. As if like I was waiting for that like all my life. I was like, okay, this is what I want to do. So since like things were not very clear when I started the whole online thing, I started with my podcast, Marketing to Crush Your Competitors. So I interviewed a ton of people to learn a ton of stuff. And this is how I built not only my confidence, but my audience, my circle, and also like being more clear on what really I wanted to do and who I wanted to help. So that's why now I'm a business coach and I help high achievers. Very important to me because these are the people I relate to. I guess it's my past as an elite athlete. I love people that, do the work and are goal-oriented and all that stuff. And I help them build their coaching business so they could finally live their mission. So that's my story in, nice. I don't know, 3 minutes.
There you go. Now your story and you're sticking with it, right? And I absolutely love that. And it's so funny. A lot of times when you're just kind of doing your thing in life, and then, like you said, when you heard about the online marketing, you're like, oh my gosh, this is what you kind of been training your entire life for, and not even knowing exactly what it was. But I love that, that you work with these high achievers, because often, they'll roll up the sleeves and do the work. It's just a matter of having that direction, having somebody sometimes to bounce ideas off of and do that deeper work that sometimes we can't see because we're so much into what we're doing.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
Nice.
totally right.
Nice. So I wanted to dive a little bit deeper and hear a little bit more on how that process works and your tribe that you work with and how you serve them. Could you take us through a little bit more about that?
Yeah, so the people that I work with are usually in their midlife crisis, if I can call it like that. You know, they realize that, you know, they've been putting everything else in front of their own dreams, and they're wondering like, how am I supposed to continue living like that? And it hits them. And it's as if like all of a sudden it's urgent for them to do something about it. But like 35 years, 40 years before, like it was on the
fine.
back burner. Yeah. So most of the people I work with, like, this is their situation, and they're like, I have to do this for myself because this is my purpose. Kids are gone from home, or they're grown-ups. They don't need me as much anymore, and I have to prioritize myself, my mission, and what I've been on this earth to do. So that gets me really excited because I'm like, yay, one more person.
Yes. Welcome to the
So
club.
so most of the time we go through, you know, most of the time they know what their expertise is, they know what their gift is, they just don't know how to monetize it, how to attract their audience, how to know where to find them, how to craft their offer, how to do their marketing, and how to show off their best side in front of their audience so they can attract the right people to their businesses. So what I do is I really help them, you know, craft their offer, find their audience, you know, streamline the marketing strategy, and then get their clients in, and that whole thing. So get started with our coaching business. And then what they learn with me, actually, if they keep implementing it, well, it could lead them to have like more and more clients. So after, when they're ready to scale, and if they want to come back and work with me, then of course I'm always open to do so, because it's always fun when you have a great experience with a client and then they come back. Well, you're not saying, well, no, go away. No, you want to help them more. So yeah, so that's how I work with my clients.
Nice. I absolutely love that. And I know you mentioned kind of like that, the handball background that you have too, but I've always heard that when you have a really great coach, they get you to that next level. And then often you might come back, but it's usually and sometimes not the same kind of challenge that you're working through. Usually it's that
Exactly.
next level challenge. So getting that and building that relationship sounds like it's definitely something that's valuable.
Yeah, and again, like sports, and we haven't touched on that yet, but true, sports have shown me how important it is to have like a great coach or a great mentor in your progression as a person, but also like as for me as an athlete, for example, or for my clients as business owners and all that stuff. I remember that the first coach I had on the national team, his name is Stefan, and we still talk today. He's still my mentor. And and there was like I was 3 months in on the team, and I went to his office and I said, Steph, I can't do this. And he's like, why? I'm like, well, I'm a full-time physical therapy student. Like, we have to train for over 25 hours a week. I have to study, I have to perform at school, I have big goals for my education, and I don't have time. And people are telling me that I'm, you know, losing some important part of my life, or, you know, I can't make it, or I won't make it happen, and it's crazy and all that stuff. And he told me, like, people are going to always criticize you. Either you succeed or you don't succeed. You always find people that will say something that it's not right for you, or you shouldn't do this, you shouldn't do that. But that's their own opinion. You have your life to control, and you have your life to live, and there's only one life. So what I'm telling you today is, if you walk away from this experience, you're going to walk away from a lot of things, not only self-growth, but also meeting other cultures, traveling the world, learning to deal with your teammates, you know, facing challenges and all that stuff. So he's like, well, it's your decision, but I mean, I would recommend you leaving the team. And anyways, practice is in 30 minutes. And I'm like, okay, see you at practice. And that was it. So to me, like just that, and that's just one of the many stories I have with many coaches, not only in sports, but also in business. But meaning that I felt that when you're surrounded by the right people and guided by the right person, that person can have such a great influence on who you become, but also how you deal with everything that happens after in life. And I remember that, you know, the next challenge that I faced as an athlete, for example, and wanted to give up, always come back to that conversation that puts me back into perspective and say, no, that's my life. I made that choice. I have to make it work. And this is it, you know? So yeah, coaches always been very important to my life, especially when I got started playing for Team Canada. Then I was like, okay, yeah, coach for everything. So in any aspect of my life, if I need that help and that guidance, I won't hesitate to hire the resource I need.
Yeah, that's so huge. And I guess the saying is the way you do one thing is the way you do many things. So
Yeah.
like you mentioned, that experience that you had kind of translates into all the different challenges, because the challenges don't stop. They just kind of look differently sometimes. So
Yeah.
you kind of have to make sure you have that, that kind of tribe around you in that environment. So would you consider that to be what I call your secret sauce, the thing you feel kind of sets you apart and makes you unique, is that ability to also be able to tap into that sports background and be able to remember and have those experiences and be able to call that to yourself, but also to the people you work with?
That's a good thing, but that's not what I pointed out. Like mostly
Mhm.
when people tell me what's different about me, I'm like, there are two things. It's my personal approach and the simplicity. So I hate complicated. I hate when we're hearing that, you know, you need complex funnels and all that stuff to make things work. I think things could be very simple. It's just that we complexify our lives for so many reasons. And simplicity, not only in business, but in all the areas of my life. This is one of the values that I really cherish, because even in relationships, like when it's not simple, when you argue all the time, when the other person doesn't understand you, like, why are you staying there, or when you're at work and it's always complicated with your coworkers and your boss, like you're always arguing, like, why are you staying there? So for me, it's one of my key values. And then the personal connection, because right here, right now, if you tell me, well, call that stranger and start a conversation, I could do it. Like I've evolved over the years to be able to get out of my cocoon, let's say, and not
Yeah.
wanting to talk to anyone and being hidden in a corner, to open myself and just asking questions and getting genuinely interested into talking to everyone. So this is something that I can do easily now. And all the time when I ask my clients why they signed up with me, they always say because of the personal touch. So if I have a call scheduled with you, and then let's say you're my potential client and I get on Zoom and you're not there, I have your phone number, I'll call you, right? And I'll call you and I'll ask what's going on, or if you can, whatever. And it's already happened that people, oh my God, like something happened, I forgot to call you and all that stuff. And I send a personal message or a personal video or something saying, no worries, we just reschedule and it's okay. And most of the time people are like, people don't do that. They don't call back. They don't leave a message. They don't send a video. Like they don't
Right.
do that. So yeah, I would say it's that. And then now I will add the sports thing and go back to the conversation I had with Stefan.
There you go. I absolutely love that. Yeah, you add that little extra ingredient onto it. That's what makes it a phenomenal secret sauce. But I love that personal aspect. I think so many times we forget, no matter what industry we're in, we forget about that people aspect of business, the relationships, the having a conversation. And I think so many times, obviously there's a place for numbers, which we'll talk about a little bit more in the bonus section. But there's just a place for all of those things. But that human interaction, that human relationship is so huge. And I think simplicity is everything, because it's almost as if we see complex in so many different ways. We see that as the normal, but I think when you're really in the right spot, right relationship, right business, it starts to flow and it's a lot simpler, and it starts to kind of just ebb from you. So
Yeah.
I love those aspects of the secret sauce.
And I
Um,
actually love the way you put it back like into like
A
a
cocoon.
minute or so. Yeah,
Yes,
exactly.
there we
Like,
go.
wow. That was awesome.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. So I wanted to switch gears a little bit, and I wanted to ask you for what I call a CEO hack. So this could be like an app, a book, or a habit that you have, but what's something that makes you more effective and efficient?
Oh, a habit that I have. Well, actually, I just make sure that every day, like I'm a hugger, so
Mm.
I hug my little one a lot. So I make sure I get my dose of hugging with my partner, with my life partner. Also, with my teenager, it's a bit like harder because he's at this age where it's kind of weird.
What
Like,
are you
no,
doing?
no, no, yeah, exactly. But I make sure that every day, we laugh out loud and we crack jokes and all that stuff. So I think that what makes me feel grounded is actually the family time and the family great moments that we can have every day.
Mhm.
Because ultimately, this is, I'm doing this not only because I feel it's my mission, but also because I want to show the example to my kids. As a parent, I feel that the best way to educate them is to show them to be happy myself or to do
Mhm.
something that I love, right? To work for myself so they can evaluate their own options and decide what they want to do eventually. So to me, yeah, if I family recharge every day, like it's just a must for me.
Yeah, absolutely. It's so important that often we forget to keep our cup full and the different ways that we can do that, whether it be hugs or laughs or, all of those different aspects. It translates into who we are and who we are as leaders in business, but in life as well, too. And the way we said, like we said before, the way we do one thing is the way we do many things. So
Mm-hmm.
it's a reminder that when you are happy, if you're joyful about your life and the things that you're doing, it starts to manifest itself in so many different aspects for ourselves, but for the people that are watching us as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome. So now I wanted to ask you for what I call a CEO nugget. So this could be a word of wisdom or a piece of advice. It might be something you would tell a client, or if you hopped into a time machine, you might tell your younger business self.
Ooh, don't try to do it all on your own.
Mm.
That's huge. And actually, I told you about like the fact that coaches are important and all that stuff. But it's funny because when I started my first business, my healthcare agency, I just wanted to do everything.
Right.
And so like I was my accountant, I was my marketing strategist, I was everything, even though I didn't know everything. So I thought that I could learn everything also. So instead of focusing on what I was great at and just double down on that, I would go on my weaknesses and try to learn, those things. And of course it was hard because like I'm not gifted in everything.
Right.
So it took a few failures and a very bad investment to realize that wait a second, like maybe I need some guidance here. Maybe I need someone qualified to help me out and avoid these mistakes and all that stuff. But I feel also that I had to do these mistakes to realize that I needed that help. So basically, younger self, I would have said, relax, you're human like everybody else. You're not superwoman. You can't do it all on your own. Get the help you need and it will go better this way.
Yeah, absolutely. I love, that advice. I always say, especially for really great advice and really great nuggets, if you can also tell my younger business self that as well too, that would be great. Because I think as, high achieving people, especially, you want to kind of take on the world because you have these massive goals and these massive aspirations, but we forget that our zone of genius is the thing that we can do sometimes better than anybody else. And the more time we're away from that is a detriment to ourselves, to the organizations we're building, but also the people that we're serving. So if we can kind of dial into that and understand the more time we spend there, it's of more value to everybody, then it starts to kind of put things in perspective. And I think get
Oh
us a little
yeah.
bit more better aligned.
Absolutely. And my life partner is also my business partner. So he's more
Mhm.
like the strategic side of things, like the behind the scenes, and I'm more the person in front with the brand and everything. And I remember that when we started our first business, that was the thing, like everything I was so our point was like, what am I gonna do if you can't do what you're doing?
Mhm.
And same thing for him. So he was learning or trying to learn my strength and I was trying to learn his. And at a certain point, of course, it was not working because it's very frustrating. Because, anyways, how hard I would try to do what he's the best at, like I could never, be at here compared to where he was at that level for that specific thing. And same thing for him. So eventually, I think it's a coach that told me that. He's like, you need to just focus on your strength. Like, stop losing time on things you can't control and things that he's great at. So both of you have a team instead of just trying to do what the other is doing if the other is not there. But right now you're working together. So it was a huge revelation for me. So yes, doubling down on strengths. I mean, I will never say that enough.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's so huge. And I think, teamwork makes the dream work, so to speak. So it's so important to understand that that's the reason we have partnerships. That's the reason that, you're in relationships, is because it allows you to complement each other and to be strong together and to win together. Yeah. So it's absolutely huge. And I wanted to ask you now for my absolute favorite question, which is the definition of what it means to be a CEO. And we're hoping to have different quote unquote CEOs on the show. So Fabian, what does being a CEO mean to you?
Wow. Being a CEO is actually, to me, is like, just feeling aligned with, first of all, who you are and who you serve, but also like coming from a genuine place. So a lot of people are in business for the wrong reasons, and you could be called CEO because you want to make money, or, you want to take advantage of people and getting their money. But I don't feel that this is a real CEO. I feel a real CEO is someone who honors what they're great at and who serves the audience in the best way possible. And a ton of talent, and they're here to make us learn too.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, like you even said, remembering why we're doing what we're doing is so important for us to kind of do that and understand that the impact we have is not just within ourselves. It's not just about money. A lot of times it's not just about followers or whatever, that metric we might use. It's about the impact that we can have. And that impact goes well beyond who we are and what it is that we do, the legacy we have, the lives we're impacting, and it grows from there.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's one of your zones of genius, by the way. Like everything, all my questions that I answer, you just like repeat them within like a short period of time, but you nail all the important aspects.
Oh, really? Awesome.
Yeah,
I thank you. I appreciate that.
That's huge. You're a great listener. Yeah.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I'm going to replay that for my girlfriend so that she knows that. Just in case we have any arguments, I say that's not true. Fabian said X, Y, and Z. Well, Fabian, I truly appreciate that. I appreciate your time as well, too. What I wanted to do is pass you the mic, so to speak, just to see if there's anything additional you can let our readers and listeners know. And of course, how best they can get a hold of you, subscribe to the podcast, and find out about all the awesome things you're working on.
Okay, so first thing that I want to share is my favorite quote from Jim Rohn, and it's success is something you attract by the person you become. Mm-hmm. So meaning that, like the work, you have to do it on yourself before you could you could get everything that you wish for. If you're not willing to do the inner work, then you're not willing to attract that success that you're wishing to get. And then the other thing, if you want to get in touch with me or know more about me, FabienneRaphaël.com, and also have a YouTube channel, bit.ly / Fabienne YouTube channel.
Awesome. We will definitely have those links and information in the show notes as well, too, so that everybody can follow up with you. But I love that Jim Rohn quote, especially that becoming part, because I think so many times we think that where we are is the final part of our lives, but we always have that opportunity to get better, to level up, to progress. And I think when we remind ourselves of that, it gives us kind of power, but also the tools by which we're able to kind of take those steps to be what we want to see in the world or within ourselves.
Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate that, and I hope you have a phenomenal rest of the day.
All right. Thank you.
All right, and I'll cut it off here. Hello. This is Gresh again from the I Am CEO podcast, and we had a phenomenal interview with Fabienne Raphaël, FabienRaphaël.com. Fabienne, it's great to have you back on the show. You rocked it with the interview, and I want people that might be just listening to this, could you tell us a little bit more about you, what you do to serve, and how you support the clients you work with?
Okay, so what I do is I'm a business coach for high achievers. So I help them monetize their knowledge so they can fire their boss. And most of the people I work with, they are in their midlife crisis. They've been having this business project in the back burner for years, and they finally realize there's something they have to do about it. today or yesterday. So I help them with creating their offer, finding their audience, attracting the right clientele to their business with their marketing strategy, and help them with the sales process so they can get started and evolve in their coaching business so they can eventually quit the job that they don't like so much.
Nice. Yeah, I absolutely love that. And I know that we talked a little bit of how, that in your podcast and how you're able to kind of, talk about how you're able to find, who it is that you're targeting, that marketing aspect, which seems so icky, I imagine, to so many people. But I always see it as a way for you to kind of get your name out there and get your service and the thing and your calling that you've been working on probably for all your life out to the world. So that's kind of a medium by which you can do that.
Oh yeah, absolutely. What I love about podcasting is like the intimate feel of it, like you can have conversations with people that are usually not accessible or usually very expensive to hire. And then you have them for a private conversation for 15, 20, 30 minutes, and you can ask as many questions as you like. And it's good also for not only for your knowledge, but also for your self-confidence, for your authority, for because you get a certain reputation after that when people listen to all those high quality interviews and all that stuff. So I feel that podcasting is not only good to gain some knowledge, to share the value with your audience, but also like for self-growth and also for like everything that comes with it while you're creating your business. Yeah.
Yeah, it's absolutely huge. And I love that because that was something that we talked about, during the interview was that kind of goal to achieve and be better than yourself, to kind of always grow. And
Yeah.
I think that's, and one of my cheat codes, one of my hacks has been having a podcast because I get phenomenal guests on the show like Fabienne, and I get to really tap into their minds and learn so much. And then when I go tell somebody else X, Y, and Z, I sound sometimes more intelligent than I am because I get that opportunity to kind of learn from the greats. So I know one of the things we wanted to talk about a little bit was metrics. That was something that we talked about offline, and how there's, I guess, kind of a misconception on what the metrics can show. Obviously they're a tool, but there's sometimes a hard steadfast, you have to do X, Y, and Z because of this number. But could you talk a little bit more about that and how maybe sometimes we're getting that wrong?
Yeah, it's one of my friends who posted something about, like, he called it impact shaming, or yes, impact shaming on Facebook. And then I read about it. I was like, he's so right. Some people or a lot of marketers make you believe that there's no way you're going to succeed in business if you don't have a big list, if you don't have a lot of followers, if you don't have a ton of connections, if you're not everywhere on social media, if you're not doing social media, so it's as if like people are just screaming at each other and saying, well, you won't achieve anything if you don't do X, Y, and Z. But the thing is, unfortunately, some marketers are ready to bash on everything else that you might be doing in the name of following their type of strategy. So email marketing is dead. Don't ever do email anymore. It doesn't work. Don't do Facebook ads. You could get all your clients without any investment into advertising. Or forget about Twitter. It's not working. Go on LinkedIn. Okay, so stop. So it's as if like everyone is like tearing everyone away and saying, well, I have the best strategy and all that stuff. I know it could be part of the marketing stuff, but I feel it's misguiding people because it's not true that you can't get a very successful 6-figure business without a big list. It's possible. A ton of people are doing it. Like when you get started, when you get your first client, I mean, how do you start? You start with your first client. Why would you have like 5 million followers already before getting your first client? And if you have a ton of followers before getting your first client, well, it's going to be even harder for you to sell because they will be used to see you sharing so much for free. And then they'll be like, wait a minute, what's wrong with her? Like now she's selling something? Pfft, I'm not going to buy it, right? So basically this message, I'm not saying that I know it's good, when you post something and you have like 50 likes and I don't know, 100 shares and 120 comments, it feels good, but is it really what's targeted to your potential client? Sometimes not. It's good for the rush, oh, a lot of people saw it. It's great. I have big numbers and all that stuff, but did that really bring you the client you're looking after to get or to looking to serve? So most of the time, the quiet listeners or the quiet readers are the ones who reach out when they're ready. And it happened to me like not late than 2 days ago. This lady that I've connected with the first time on LinkedIn, I think it was in June, and she needed a coaching service, and she fell on my inbox yesterday. Never liked any of my posts, never engaged on any of my posts. We just communicated during that first messaging, like how are you doing and what are you working on type of stuff back in June. That's it. Never heard from her again. And she fell in my inbox. She was looking for a coach for one of her friends, and she was looking for references, and she thought of me, right? But it ended up like the expertise she was looking at, it was not my expertise. So I referred her to someone I know. But the thing is, there are a ton of silent listeners, silent readers, and you don't know about them. So why would you rate your performance out of the numbers that you have on your podcast, on your anything? You know, some people are like, well, I have 1 million downloads on my podcast. Great. How many clients did your podcast bring? Did it like bring clients, or you're just doing it for numbers and not necessarily to drive clients to your business? So I feel that we should all take that like in a different perspective, not thinking that success is directly related to a lot of followers or a lot of, and don't forget that some people pay to get like fake followers. That too. So could be another factor there. So don't get discouraged. And why I feel that it's a shame sometimes is because like for someone starting up wants to be a coach, an online coach, and then they see that, they get discouraged. They're like, oh my God, it's so hard. I'm never going to get there. What? 30,000 followers? No, I'm only at 120. There's no way I can do business, right? And then they don't even try because they read that crap. But they should actually, because if they feel that, you know, they have something that they can share, they can bring some people results and they can change other people's lives. Like, why not start it out and see how it goes? But yeah, like there's too many of this, and I don't know if it's always been like that, but I seem to see more and more of these like lately. So it was just getting on my nerves, and I was like, this is it. This is what we have to talk about here on your show.
Yeah, well, I definitely appreciate that. It's so funny. I think I was talking with somebody and they said they never met a like that paid anybody's bills. So we're so attracted to those likes, and they become the goal, and what we all stand for and do is the likes. But we forget that I think there's even studies that say like I guess sometimes social media can give you that kind of dopamine hit where it's just you posting something and getting the reaction is really sometimes more exciting than doing anything else. And I think if we lose focus on what our goal is of what we're trying to do, what we're trying to accomplish, then we can very easily have that be the most important thing. But you brought up a point that I never really thought of, in that because of what it looks like that success is, the 30,000 followers, as we talked about, not only does that hurt somebody from even getting started, somebody that has a gift, somebody that has a passion and expertise to give it to the world, they see that and they don't even get started. I think that's also something that could be, damage to, the chasing of those metrics.
Mm-hmm. And also what I would add is the ripple effect. So meaning that, let's say if you're starting and you're working with only one person, well, that client, you change their situation. So you solve their problem. By doing that, you change that person's life, okay? So maybe that person is happier because of you, or maybe that person has more money because of you. Maybe that person has solved a self-esteem issue because of you. So therefore, what that person is going to do influencing her or his circle is still something that is going to be done by the work you've done ahead, right? So basically, even if you're helping just one person, you might help so many more people because you're helping people to solve their problem, and they will help others to solve their problems and all that stuff. So it could be a ripple effect. So all those numbers, like they're just mandatory. Like it's not important. I feel that what's important is to be true to yourself, know what you're worth, do what you feel that your mission is, and just express it to the world and help others and get paid for it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that that came up, during the podcast as well, as just kind of being outwardly focused on those things like vanity metrics as far as like success and what and how we define ourselves and what it is that we do. But I think we often forget that a lot of that starts within, as we talked about, the Jim Rohn quote. It's so important to kind of look within, develop oneself to be able to kind of see that change we hope to see in the world.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. Well, Fabian, truly appreciate you for hopping on the bonus section as well, too. For people that might just be listening to this, what's the best way for them to subscribe to your podcast and get in touch with you, hear about all the awesome things you're working on?
Okay, so you just go at FabienneRaphaël.com and you subscribe to my YouTube channel, bit.ly/Fabienne YouTube channel.
Yeah, absolutely. And I will definitely have the links and information in the show notes. And definitely, someone says you said your name so much better than I could ever say it in the intro. So I appreciate that. As you heard it just now, we will have the links and information again in the show notes, but I appreciate you again. And I hope you have a phenomenal rest of the day.
Thank you. You too. And thanks for having me.